Years ago, one of my mentors made the distinction between simply preaching and actually ministering to people. He told me people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. When I became a full time youth and family minister, I realized how inadequately prepared I was for dealing with the complex challenges facing youth, parents, and families. I honestly cared, but I was not competent. Today's ministers can become better equipped to meet this challenge through the Master of Arts in Family Life Ministry offered by Faulkner University. This program integrates prevention oriented strategies as well as intervention strategies within a church setting, focusing on counseling skills. All these courses may be completed online from the convenience of your home or workplace and at a time that is convenient to the schedule of the student. There is a 50% discount for the members of the Church of Christ. Now, although this program is not designed to fulfill any requirements toward becoming a licensed counselor, it is designed to thoroughly equip the minister by providing courses including but not limited to the skills required for counseling couples, families in crisis, as well as dealing with family dynamics, human intimacy, sexuality, parent and character education, as well as church assessments. If you're interested in more information, contact faulkner.edu/KGST. That is faulkner.edu/KGST. KGST stands for Curley Graduate School of Theology. You can also contact graduate enrollment at faulkner.edu with any questions or to explore the eligibility requirements for the tuition discount. Graduate enrollment at faulkner.edu. Faulkner University is a sponsor of Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. TKM Incorporated in Moss, Tennessee is a construction company that specializes in erosion control, seeding, and soil, hydroseeding, hydromulch, minor excavation, and silt fence. They also provide traffic control and construction signs. Their business is keeping people safe, but their passion, their mission, is they wish that all men could be saved. TKM has adopted the nickname the King's Men because as they serve you, they also serve the King. If they could provide any of their services for you, please contact them at 931-243-3958. That is 931-243-3958. Or you can contact them on the net at tkminc2001 at twlakes.net. That is tkminc2001 at twlakes.net. TKM Incorporated is a sponsor of Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. I don't know what possessed me to say it. I have no idea why I said it and what I was thinking when I said it. And I really don't know how, having said it, it became a thing. It took on a life of its own. But I was driving a blue diesel church van, a 15-passenger van, pulling a U-Haul trailer. I had come out of McMinnville, Tennessee, and was driving into Spencer, Tennessee, the gateway of Fall Creek Falls. As I was driving up this mountain in Tennessee, going up the back road into Spencer, I was driving up what they call Spencer Mountain. And it's this little 2-lane road that switchbacks and hairpins and steep cliffs on one side and steep drop-offs on the other. And as I was driving up this hill in this diesel van with these kids, I remember just saying, this would be a very difficult thing to run up. And I don't have any idea why I was thinking in those terms. I was not a runner. Had never been a runner. The closest thing I'd come to running was in this class I had to take as a freshman in college. It was a physical conditioning class. Every freshman was supposed to take it. The university that I went to was interested in us having lifelong fitness. It was a Tuesday, Thursday class, and this professor there, Dr. Bailey, gave us these cardiovascular assignments. And, you were supposed to run for 8 minutes and walk for 2 and run for 8 and walk for 2, and you turned in these little sheets of paper. Well, I never did those. I remember I'd get to class and, I didn't turn in my little sheets of paper, and I would write down I did laundry and sweated, or I had a date, my heart rate increased, and I didn't take the class very serious at all. But in those days, I was like, 18 years old and had a 17% body fat, weighed 145 pounds. But here I am as a youth minister in my 20s, and having added the pounds you add in college, and having been a newly married little person, I wasn't a runner at all. But I'm driving this van up Spencer Mountain, and I'm thinking about what it would take to run it. Well, I return to Spencer Mountain every year, probably every year for the next 10 or 15 years for an annual retreat. I went up there for summer camp. I went up there for vacations. I went up there to rock climb. And on one of those trips, as we were driving up the backside of Spencer Mountain, I said, I'm going to run this when I turn 40. And it became this thing. It became this thing that people asked me about. It became this thing that people reminded me of. It became this thing that people talked about. I had people say, hey, when you go run that Spencer Mountain, I want to go run it with you. Kyle Traylor offered to run it with me. My brother-in-law Shane Wallace would go really, really bad. Well, it ended up that when I turned 40 on my 40th birthday, March the 10th, we headed out to Spencer. Jackie was going to drive me up there, drop me off at the bottom of the mountain, and drive to the top and wait on me. Well, just as we got to the place where Countess Road intersects with the Parkway, my SWAT pager went off. And just down the road from there was a SWAT call out, and Jackie left me with the SWAT guys and went back home or went shopping or something. And I spent my 40th birthday with a barricaded suspect in a standoff, and we locked down the Parkway for about 10 hours. Well, after my very exciting 40th birthday ended, I waited until Friday. I took Lonnie Beth to school, and after I dropped her off for school, I pointed my little vehicle north, and I headed to Spencer Mountain. I drove my little vehicle up toward McMinnville, and then I went the back roads, and I got on this little hairpin switchback city road, drove up and parked at the courthouse underneath the water tower, got out, stretched out, loosened up, and started walking down the hill. A guy in a vehicle pulled over and said, hey, where are you going? I said, well, I'm actually just going to the bottom of the mountain here. And he said, well, hop in, that's where I'm going. So I got in the car with him, and as we drove down the mountain, he talked to me about his mother and her illness. He talked to me about some family tragedies been going on. He talked about his uncle and his sister who had recently passed away. And so as we were riding in the car going down this steep incline, I prayed with him and for his family. And after we finished the prayer, he said, now, what are you going to do when you get to the bottom of the mountain? I grinned and said, well, I'm going to turn around and run back up it. He slammed the brakes on his car. We rocked to a stop. He turned and looked at me. I said, well, I said I was going to run it when I turned 40. My birthday was Monday. I'm 4 days late. And so I'm going to run this mountain today. He looked me dead in the eye and said, well, by golly, you better run the whole thing. He said this with a laugh, drove me to the bottom and let me off at the pullout where they used to stack those big round hay bales. And as he drove off, I turned around and started running up the hill. In the years leading up to this 40-year mountain, I had run a lot of steps. I had started running as a chaplain with the police department, so I had been running since I was 29. But around age 36 or 37, the prospect of this mountain came into view. And people reminded me that I had said this thing, and every time we went through that area and went up Spencer's Mountain, I would reminded that I had said, I'm going to run this. And so when I'm in North Carolina and we hiked up Pisgah, I wasn't hiking Pisgah. I was running Spencer Mountain. And when the teenage boys and I raced up the Devil's Courthouse, I wasn't running on a hillside in North Carolina. I was running up Spencer Mountain. And that early morning on the opening day of deer season, when Steve Watson killed that deer right at daylight, and we left the woods extremely early, I just turned around and went back, and I ran up Kill Mountain. But instead of running up Kill Mountain, I was running Spencer Mountain. When the youth group went to Stone Mountain and we decided to go to the top, I decided I would jog that. But I wasn't running Stone Mountain. I was running Spencer Mountain. When I went over to Eagle Tree or Saddle Tree and did those hill repeats up what is now Harris Hill, I wasn't running Harris Hill. I was doing those wind sprints and those repeats up Spencer Mountain. When we moved to our house on Lunar Road, and I would go running in the mornings or in the afternoons, and I would end my run by running all the way up to the top of the road that we live on, that little half-mile long hill, that very steep incline. I wasn't running in Alabama. I was running the hill. I was running Spencer Mountain. All of those things that I had done, even on the approach to Looking Glass, when I would hike in there to climb, I wasn't just hiking with a backpack. I was preparing to run a mountain in Spencer, Tennessee. Now, I can honestly say that having done all of that, when it came time to run on my 40th birthday, I was very prepared for it. Driving up that little mountain, it sort of seemed like a mountain. Driving down it sort of seems like a mountain. But after about a mile into the run, it felt like any other hill that I had run. I'd been to Colorado, and although they call it Spencer's Mountain, compared to what I saw in Colorado, it's just a hill. It looked like a mountain when I said I would run it. It looked like a mountain while I was driving up it. But it only felt like a mountain for about the first mile. And at the top, when I stuck a homemade sticker with my spider logo on the back of the road sign, it felt like a hill. Prepared is a good feeling. Meeting a challenge is a good feeling. Now, this was not a marathon. It wasn't an ultra marathon. It wasn't an Ironman race. It's an insignificant little hill in Spencer, Tennessee. But when I said it, and as I prepared for it, it loomed, and it seemed like a mountain. I'm convinced that the challenges that we face and the challenges that we conquer or the challenges that we fail, we don't conquer them or fail them on the day of the challenge. But those battles are won and lost days and weeks and months and even years before. Football games are not won on Friday nights under stadium lights on fall evenings. Football games are won and lost on Mondays in August when it's 98 degrees and you're doing 3-a-days. Basketball games are not won or lost on hardwood floors on Thursday nights in gymnasiums. They are won or lost because somebody got up at 6 a.m. in the heat of the summer and shot free throws on a concrete driveway, or played well after the streetlights came on after dark. A sword never lost a battle. The fault is always with the swordsman. You think about spiritual challenges and you think about the mountains that we encounter. The Bible tells us that God provides a way to escape for every temptation, but that escape is not in the form of an ejection handle. You don't get in the middle of something and just get to punch out. You see, that escape comes in the form of things that God's asked us to do and God's asked us to avoid It comes in the form of disciplines. It comes in the form of preparation. And not only is it involved in our preparation, but it's probably how we view things. Oftentimes we use our struggles or our hardships or our pain or inconvenience or our unfairness or our discomfort, and we use them as excuses for not doing, or even use them for excuses for doing. But understanding that those things should be viewed as preparation. And you've heard me talk about intentional adversity. You know, I ran with a young man one time. He was at a retreat that I was doing, and he knew that I ran on Saturday mornings, and he asked me if he could go with me. What I didn't know was he was a cross-country runner and had rewritten, all of the major records on the cross-country tracks in Tennessee. And as we went out running that morning, he was wearing a shirt that said, "My sport is your sport's punishment." What he was advertising was what you view as hardship, I view as fun. What you view as difficulty and as punishment, I view as something that I pursue, and it's my hobby. See, just simply taking the idea and viewing the things that are difficult, the mountains that we face, and just simply viewing them as discipline. Hey, this is an opportunity, not an obstacle. You see, when we view a mountain as an opportunity rather than an obstacle, it allows us to prepare for it and anticipate it rather than dread it. Taking a different view of something makes us prepared for it. And doing the work, putting in the practice, practicing the disciplines, being prepared for something makes us view it differently. Viewing it differently makes us prepared, and being prepared makes us view it differently. Practice and preparation is the difference in whether a molehill is a mountain, or a mountain just becomes a hill. Using the tool of shortwave radio, World Christian Broadcasting literally covers the world every day with the gospel. They use 2 large curtain antennas. One is located in Anchor Point, Alaska, and the other in Madagascar. They send out messages that are recorded at their international home in Franklin, Tennessee. They make available 40 hours of broadcast every day. The broadcasts are made in English, Chinese, Russian, Spanish, Portuguese, Korean, English for Africa, and Arabic. They would love for your group to visit them. You can bring your ladies group, your youth group, or your men's group. Just give them a call at 615-371-8707, 615-371-8707, or you can go to 3 W's and a dot, worldchristian.org, find the Donate Here button, and make a financial contribution to support this work that literally covers the world every day with the gospel. World Christian Broadcasting, in cooperation with Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. I am your host, Lonnie Jones. My wife Jackie and I moved to the city of Huntsville in 1986 for me to be a youth and family minister. I have been a minister since 1980. I have served in this community as a police chaplain assigned to a SWAT team since 1992, and I've been in private practice as a licensed professional counselor since 1998. I'm also an adventure educator and an avid outdoorsman. I dabble in rock climbing, and I goof around with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Our life has been full of many wonderful experiences, and some just outright adventures. I used to write about those things in a little church bulletin article, so now instead of asking you to read those things, we're just going to talk about them in our podcast. And as we talk about them, we're going to talk about the facts. The facts lead to concepts, and the concepts lead to application. One caveat about the facts is, for the most part, we're going to tell you the facts just as they happened. But every now and then, we're going to tell you the way other people have told us they remember it happening, with a little bit of embellishment. It's all good, clean fun and for educational purposes. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoy Keeping Up with Jones.